In these opening days of Lent, this first kind of partial week is kind of like an orientation, really, to the whole idea of Lent, this great penitential season. And we kind of review kind of the major themes and consider, kind of get ourselves oriented, if you will, literally, to this 40-day pilgrimage, this 40-day retreat, if you will, that we enjoy and celebrate and follow each year. Today, though, it seems like we're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves in the gospel text, because here in this second day of Lent, if you will, we hear Jesus talking about taking up one's cross, right? Seems to be jumping to the end of the story already. We seem to be missing the whole notion of Lent itself. But this is incredibly helpful for us to understand what is this time about. Now, certainly, this is our preparation to celebrate the Paschal Mystery, right? Which we will do in Holy Week, and especially during the Great Triduum, right? We're preparing ourselves to walk with Jesus, through those mysteries. But once again, we hear today about the cross. Why the cross? This is a quite helpful question. Why the cross? Why does Jesus do what he does? Now, one interpretation would be kind of a legal one, that there was this notion that, God had to, Jesus needed to be sacrificed and, kind of the image from the metaphors of the Old Testament. And that is one answer to the question. But why does Jesus do what he does? And it can be reduced down to one word, really. Or two, really, if you two synonyms. Love. And the other word would be compassion. Jesus does what he does out of love, not out of any sense of a legal obligation, I don't think. Right? It's an incredible sense of love for creation, that Jesus of Nazareth does what he does. Compassion, mercy. So therefore, the cross is not a symbol of suffering, although it is, but it should also be a symbol for love, a symbol for God's compassion. Now, when we do that, and we consider it in that light, then this gospel reading is quite helpful, I think. Because when we think of this gospel passage, if anyone wishes to come after me, he or she must deny themselves and take up their cross daily. If we think of that only in kind of a legalistic suffering sense, I think we're going to miss the point a little bit, at least for us. And certainly we have our devotional practices, we have our pious practices of abstaining and things like that, right, that we do during Lent, and they can all be helpful to our having a good Lent, as it were. But if we go back to why does Jesus do what he does? Primarily out of love. Then, what is our cross? I think simply put, it's whatever the Lord has called us, or wherever the Lord has called us, to be loving people. Therefore, if a person is married, their spouse, their family, their children are their cross. Now, sometimes that's probably literally, right? In the suffering sense of the word, right? But that's what love means. Love means to get out of oneself and to give of oneself, as Jesus does on the cross, out of love for the other. And you could then, everybody is called to love in some fashion in this world. And that is our cross, right? That's how we unite ourselves with the Lord in a very particular way. Right? So everybody is called to their cross. The question that for each of us to answer, I think, in these first days of Lent is, well, what is that for me? What is that for me? What is my cross? Again, not going out of my way looking to suffer, but rather, where am I called to be transformed, to get out of myself, to love, to be compassionate, to be merciful? And if we could discern that, then take up your cross and follow after me.